And welcome back to On the Hash with Hatfield. Matt Hatfield, pleased to be joined by a special guest. He started right here in the 757 at Denbigh High School in Newport News, and then went on to play his college football at Howard University. Was a standout there. Got drafted in the 6th round of the National Football League draft way back in, it wasn't too far back, but way back in 2006, and then played for quite a number of years in the National Football League. In fact, in his NFL career, played with several other teams, the Indianapolis Colts, who drafted him, the New York Giants, the Arizona Cardinals, and San Francisco 49ers from 2006 to 2019, was a 3-time Pro Bowler and also Super Bowl champion with the Colts when they won at Super Bowl 41 with the Chicago Bears. And this coming Thursday at Todd Stadium in Newport News, they are recognizing this guy as they have his home and away jerseys of number 4, I believe, retired. We're talking about Antoine Bethea with us here on the show. Antoine, good to see you. How's life treating you?
Man, I appreciate you for having me, man. And life is good. No complaints.
That's awesome. Well, let's start here. What's this recognition mean to you to have your jersey retired, number 4? You know how the history goes in the Peninsula District. We could spend an hour on all the greats that have come through to 757. You've competed against some players that have gone on to the NFL and done great things like yourself. It has to be pretty special.
No, it is, man. Anytime you're able to get recognized, especially, be able to get your number retired, man, it means a lot to me. Obviously, my peers, as you mentioned, a lot of talent to be able to that's come through the 757, the PD, the Peninsula District, as it was called when I was playing. But it's definitely a humbling experience, and I'm excited.
When you look back to your beginning days of football and you're growing up and Pop Warner, flag football, those type of things, before you even get to the high school ranks, what were the things that motivated you and inspired you in this game? Because you have a pretty neat journey as far as you weren't the big ballyhooed recruit, and there was a bunch of them in the PD. I mean, you go back to the days of Ronald Curry and Michael Vick and so many others that have been pre and since then. What kind of drove you to be the success story you've been?
Man, I think obviously, just growing up, my big brother Alexon, man, he was guy that I looked up to. He was big bro, so from us starting on Fort Eustis and, him going to Denbigh, and then me, going to Denbigh after him. And, I was known as Lil Lex. So it was just him, just watching him, watching him play football, play basketball, that's what it was. But when he was in school, he was going against the AIs, the Tody Rutledge, the Aaron Brooks. And at that time, man, it was just a hotbed of just dogs, you know what I mean? And it was just one of them things growing up. It's like, I just want to be a part of that. And as I grew as a preteen and a teenager and getting to the sports, playing football, and you always talk about just how much talent was around the area, man. And I just enjoyed the competition level on all different levels, man. And, being able to see guys in the neighborhood and just talking trash. That's just what drove me, just being able to have those bragging rights, even if it was in the summertime and, we playing ball, going to different cities, going to different courts and just talking trash and just being able to have that back and forth with the guys, man. But at the end of the day, it was just a competition level, man, and just being a competitor and just wanting to go out there and be the best that I could be.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you played basketball too at Denbigh, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine some of those battles, not just on the gridiron, but on the courts, were pretty fierce. And as you mentioned, a lot of friendly banter or junk talk back and forth during those PD rivalries, whether it's a Newport News School versus Newport News or Hampton versus Newport News. And as you're all trying to get to the playoffs and get that shine, right?
Nah, no doubt. And that's what it was about. It wasn't, hey, I'm just playing football. Back then it was 9 times out of 10, your best players on the basketball court was on the football field and vice versa. So, it was all in good banter, but, it's always good when you can talk trash and just, and just have fun with it.
I love the fact that you went to Howard. You went to a different route to get to the National Football League, because I think kids today now, especially covering recruiting like I do with VirginiaPreps.com, part of the Rivals Network powered by Yahoo Sports, we do a lot of different kids that are trying to be 4 stars, 5 stars, that type of thing. And, once you get to college, those go out the window. Speak on just what that part of your journey meant to you and how you stayed with that belief that I can go play in the pros one day and have the story you did coming from HU and being a 6th round draft choice.
Yeah, I think for me, me growing up, I wanted to go to the NBA, right? Like that was my goal. It was like I wanted to be the dog on the hardwood and go to the NBA. Shout out to Coach Rod. He was my defensive coordinator. He coached me basketball as well. Um, and it was funny, just talking to him to this day. He was just like, look, I know your mom and your dad, like, you're not about to just grow 7 inches. You know what I mean? And he kind of helped me focus on football. And again, my head coach at the time at Denbigh High School, Coach A.C. Cawthorn, that ended up going to Howard as an offensive coordinator, was one of the big reasons why I even got to Howard. But I look back and was like, that was my path. That was meant for me, because just looking back, hey, look, it's good to get those offers from those Power 5 schools, but Power 5 isn't everybody's path or everybody's journey, right? So you look at it and you, like, as scouting, parents, players, I get it. You want to play on national TV. You want to go to the VTechs, the Miamis, the Ohio States. But for me, it was like, if I can go somewhere and get as much film and get as much tape as I can possibly get a free education, get a degree, like at the end of the day, that's a win for me, right? Now, if you're able to go to the NFL, man, hey, God bless you. But to be able to go somewhere and play ball, that's a dream come true. So a lot of times, these young kids, they get caught up in going to these big schools where, hey, if you go to a JMU or Howard or Hampton, Norfolk State, or not a Power 5, you still get that much film. You get that much more film. Where you go to a Power 5, you might only play a year or two. So again, man, it's pros and cons. And then when you tap into the NIL now, I get that as well. But even the kids and the parents that I've talked to today, I say, look, there's so many different paths that you can take, and you got to take a path that works for you, and don't think about what the outsiders are going to say when you make your decision.
Well, as a 3-year starter at Howard, 309 stops, 187 solo tackles, ended up being a Black College Football Hall of Fame Player of the Year in 2017 before the Colts take you in 2016, and you're right there in that pantheon of great safeties from the 757 names like Kenny Easley, Cam Chancellor, yourself. We'll talk about Cam in a second, because I remember seeing you not too long ago in that Cam Chancellor celebrity basketball game. But Antoine, every player I think that makes it to the professional level has a breakthrough moment or defining turning point, be it on or off the field. It could come high school, college, pro. What was it for you? Was there a moment you look back on that really sticks out as far as your journey and accelerated that and really, was a big deal for you?
I mean, I think it was different parts of my football career. I say in high school, starting varsity, my 11th grade year, playing a little bit my sophomore year, but my junior year, really started, to turn some heads. Obviously, we had a lot of guys in the PD at that time, especially. So probably got overlooked a tad bit, but that's cool. Then my senior year, I had another good year. But then again, just playing the position that I was playing, middle linebacker, at the size I was, I knew I wasn't going to be playing middle linebacker at the next level, and scouts would come in and say, hey, look, it might not work. That's fine. But when I got to Howard, I would say probably my freshman year, game 7, we played Norfolk State, and that was kind of like the first game I got, some decent time. And I feel like that was a big time for me, because I really understood at that time that I could really play. And fast forward to my sophomore year, the second game of the season, I got my first start against one of our rivals, Hampton Institute, and I probably had one of my best games that I ever had.
When you look at the pro journey, obviously Super Bowls, that's the pinnacle. When you do that with the Colts and that group with Peyton Manning, and it's funny, that year, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're part of a defense that Bob Sanders was in that defense, right, with you in the defensive backfield. A lot of people forget about him. They think about, obviously, Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed as two of the pinnacle safeties, if you will, at that time, and they were awesome safeties, obviously Hall of Fame level talents. But you all were, I think, dragged through the mud basically when you had a game against the Jaguars who ran all over you. But that wasn't maybe in people's eyes the best Colts team. Tell us about just what that was, that brotherhood and bond to win a Super Bowl like you all did. And it was more of an unexpected one when the Colts had some years, having to bang their heads against the Patriots and Tom Brady and some others in the AFC when they were thought to win it. And that ended up being the year where they did win it. And you guys got the ring.
Yeah, man. The year prior, when they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, walking into that locker room when I got drafted, they really thought that the year prior was their year. And it was. You had Edgerrin James, and you had obviously Brandon Stokely, Harrison, Reggie Wayne. You just had a lot of talent on that team. And I was just fortunate enough to be able to walk into a situation as such. Just a great organization from top to bottom. And they welcomed a young boy from Howard with open arms, man. And like you said, like that's the pinnacle when you're playing professional sports, is to raise your respective trophy, and you call yourself a champion. So for me to be able to do that my rookie year, coming from Howard University, a 6th-round draft pick, I tell people going into training, really OTAs, I was the number 6 safety out of 7 on the depth chart. So it was just all about the grind, put your head down and just go out there and do what you can do, man. But again, if it wasn't for the Colts, man, I just don't know if my career would have turned out like it did.
Well, there's a lot of statistics that jump out about your decorated playing career, Antoine, but the thing that really grabs me, and 2 of my favorites all time in the basketball ranks that never got rings, were Karl Malone and John Stockton of the Utah Jazz, who were durable Iron Men that played 82 games. You played 7 consecutive seasons where you started all 16 games. Tell me about what that takes in terms of preparation of the body, because I know there's a lot of kids out there that they want to go play in the league one day and they may not understand what it takes to do those type of things. And is that one of the things you're most proud of? Certainly, to have the lengthy career you did has got to be something that's up there, but to play that many games and not have to miss a game, because nowadays the injury reports are crazy in the NFL. Every week you turn, you've got quarterbacks out and defensive players, skill position guys. It's hardly ever you see guys play 16 games in a season anymore.
Nah, man. That's something that I held my hat on. And, we talk about it is like your best ability is your availability. And then you just know, like, at that point, you got good players all across the roster. So I never wanted to be a situation where I'm not on the field and give somebody else an opportunity to show how good they are and, take my spot. So I just took pride in being there for my teammates, being accountable, and, just considering myself one of the leaders. I just needed to be out there. And, I hated watching the game from the sideline. So to be able to say, look, it was a 7-year stretch where I didn't miss a game at the safety position when the game was a real physical game, man. Of course, that's something I'm proud of.
If you were playing now, how different would it be where it seems like every week we're seeing flags thrown, you can't hit guys in certain areas? Would it be an adjustment at all for you? And has the game changed much since you hung it up, which was only about, 3 or 4 years ago?
No, it definitely would be an adjustment. It was an adjustment even towards the end of my career where they were really focusing on, the helmets and things of that nature. But you gotta move with it as a game move, or if not, you're gonna get left behind. So the rules are the rules, whether you like them or not. But again, the game is different from when I first came in 2006, where it were a lot more fullbacks. The running backs were bigger, and it was a lot of that, power game. So you had to bring your neck roll. You had to make sure them shoulders was right week in and week out. But again, the game has changed in a different way now, where even when I came in the league, I was 205. I was considered a small safety. Typically those safeties were 215, 220, where now the game is more so shape where the safeties have to be able to guard the receivers and tight ends and things of that nature. But game has changed, man. I still love the game. I'm a fan of the game, and I love watching it.
few more minutes here with Antoine Bethea, the Denbigh High grad that started at Howard, then in the NFL, was a 3-time Pro Bowl or Super Bowl champion, as they're recognizing him with his home and away versions of the number 4 jersey at halftime at Todd Stadium this coming Thursday night. The Denbigh Patriots take on the Menchville Monarchs. Going out there and support Antoine, one of the 757's finest, to get it done. It is on the Hash with Hatfield here on the podcast, and we'll finish up with what Antoine's up to these days and get his thoughts on some other things in the world of sports, if you will. But Antoine, as you look at the time with your time with the Colts, which was, as you mentioned, really memorable, you then go to the 49ers, a little bit of a change in teams, but right away you get 4 interceptions your first year there. You play all 16 games. In my brain, I wasn't around you to see it, so I'm thinking it's like you reinvented yourself again. You talk about that transition from linebacker to safety when you get to Howard. Tell me about just a new team and fitting in, because you were able to have that staying power. A lot of guys go to a new team and they're seeing the end of their career. You sort of extended it. How'd that happen?
Man. I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt the type of way, the way I departed Indianapolis. So, when I went to the 49ers, I obviously I wanted to show the coach that they made a bad decision with not bringing me back. But again, man, every time I go out there, I just want to play the best ball that I can possibly play. And going to that San Francisco team, I knew that defense was lights out. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, one of the best that ever do it. So I just wanted to go out there and do my thing, man. And fortunate enough for me, after I left Indy, I was able to play 6 more years in the league, 3 wonderful years in San Fran. Our record really didn't indicate, a great time, but I enjoyed my time out there in the Bay Area.
We all, whether we're, in the workspace, playing professional football, whatever you do, we have coworkers, teammates we like, we don't like. I ain't going to ask you to name the ones you didn't care for, but tell me about some of the teammates that had the biggest impact on you during your playing days, whether it was with the Colts, the Niners, the Cardinals, or at the end of the Giants.
Man, I would say a lot of those guys played on the Colts just because, I was a young guy. A lot of those guys just welcome me with open arms. Robert Mathis, another HBCU alum. Gary Brackett, remarkable story of walking on at Rutgers and becoming a captain. Reggie Wayne, even though we weren't teammates, but, Edgerrin James, he was even after he left the Colts, everybody spoke highly of him and just his character. So now, his son is at playing at Howard University. So our connection is there strong as well. And then, when I went to San Fran, everybody knows what Colin Kaepernick did. So that was a very impactful time in my life, being able to be in the locker room and see it firsthand. So those are like some of the guys that, impacted me in different ways.
And you were in San Francisco. Correct me if I'm wrong, because he's now coaching now as an assistant at Oscar Smith, and I covered him when he played in high school at Ocean Lakes. You were a teammate of Eli Harold, right? At that time, another 757 dude. Yeah. I'm sure that's still a big deal everywhere you go. The 757 guys that grew up with, maybe it came before you, after you. It seems like those 3 numbers sort of follow you everywhere you go in life, doesn't it?
Nah, I mean, I love it. You're talking about Eli Harold, but then I had another Denbigh grad, graduated from UVA, Chris Peace. We were teammates as well. So regardless, wherever you go in this world, you talk about 757, everybody gotta, they gotta put respect behind 757. Whether, you're talking about Texas football, California football, Florida football, Pennsylvania. If you say 757, everybody know, all right, he's a dog, So, but it's always good when you can see your brothers from the 75 going out there and doing their thing and just living out their dreams.
I've asked this other pros before, be it in football, basketball, baseball, track, whatever sport is, because we got guys and gals winning medals in track and field too. Did you know growing up that it was revered like it was? And was there a certain point or time where you said, wow, we do have a lot of guys that are making it at the pro level, and it's cool to be a part of that exclusive company, because it is a lot of people, but it's still an exclusive list, and it's less than probably 2%, if you will, of those that do play the game to get that opportunity.
Yeah, like growing up, I did not, just because, you were just in the area. You were just in the area, so you seen the, the Joe Smith, the Alonzo Mournings, the AIs, and Bruce Smith's, LT. So you just like, okay, like these are people from this area, and that's big too, because you can see it like, okay, they're from the same area, so they made it. I have a chance to make it out too. But as you grow And as you get older and you start to travel more and you start to visit different places and you start to have these conversations with different people, then that's when the light comes on and be like, yo, like, okay, our area is a little different. Like, based off what you said, just how small our area is compared to others. But the names that hit from our area, it's a little bit more impactful just because it's not as big as those other states that I mentioned. So, man, it's a big honor to represent, because, you know, when you all on that national TV, you're not only, you know, doing it for the name on the back of your jersey or the emblem on the side of your helmet, you are doing it from like your hometown. So it's always good to be like, yeah, I'm from the 757 and I'm representing the right way.
Well, it's always good to see you all support each other, whether someone's helping out with a cause or an event you've got. I mentioned you were at Cam Chancellor's celebrity basketball game where I'm taking pictures on the baseline, and I've never done this in my time, but I had to get a selfie with my guy Larry Fitzgerald, one of my favorites that play wide receiver. He came out and supported all the way to Norfolk, has no connection to it, and I see just so many different stars. Marshawn Lynch is there. You're there, guys that played in the 757, other greats, and you still had some basketball moves, if I recall, out there. You were doing some things out there in the court. You weren't maybe your prime Antoine Bethea playing this, but you had some moves. And so as I bring that up, tell us what you've got going on outside of this recognition coming up on Thursday night. What you're involved with. I understand you're an owner or part owner with a sports bar in the area, and you're doing some stuff with scholarships with Newport News School. Tell us a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah, I'm owner of District 41 Sports Bar. We've been open since 2018, man. That's been dope, just being able to provide jobs for people in the community. You know, obviously when COVID was going through, man, being able to provide families with lunches, obviously, you know, that's an important part of a child's life, you know, going to school, and they're banking on that lunch at school. So when they weren't going to school, man, so it was good, man, just being able to have some in the neighborhood that you grew up in. Also, I have the Bethea Family Foundation. As you mentioned, we do scholarships. We offer scholarships to students that's going to a 2-year, 4-year institution, man. We've been the foundation been going since 2010, man. So even with that, man, we're doing some good things in the neighborhood in Newport News and in the 757. So be on the lookout for a big time announcement coming up, hopefully sometime soon, that we're in conjunction with the city of Newport News. I have my own podcast, the Man to Man Podcast. We're live on YouTube Monday mornings from 8 to 9 with a former teammate of mine, Darius Butler. I'm doing some sports analyst, color analyst stuff for HBCU Go. You know, we're trying to give the HBCU student athletes the recognition, exposure that they need as well. So just, you know, staying busy, man. And obviously, you know, my beautiful family, not three beautiful children that I'm running behind day in and day out, man. So I'm staying busy.
That's awesome. You got to stay active with the kids. I've got a 7-year-old niece I have to chase and get at the bus stop, and she runs me ragged. So I can relate in that sense. Don't have any little ones of my own, but it's like you treat them like they're your own, and it's nieces and nephews and cousins, things like that. But that's awesome that you're doing all that and so many things in the community. And you're always welcome to come on this show and be a guest. We look forward to getting you on again sometime soon. I'll get you out on this one, Antoine, and thank you so much for your time here. A little bit extended over time what we had promised with you. But you still following the game of football, be it the pro level, the college level. And I know your high school here with Denbigh, even though they're going through some hard times, they've got a guy that's well respected, and Tommy Riemann leading the way at the helm for them. And it goes back to the days of Mike Tomlin, who's one of the best coaches in the game right now, Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's a lot of pride over there at Denbigh, right?
No, for sure. Regardless of what we're going through, man, it's grind and grit over at Denbigh, man. I think that's something that we always held our hat on as well. Like, regardless of what's going on, man, we're gonna grind, we're gonna work hard. And shout out to Coach Riemann, like you say, he's a legend in the 757. And for him to be able to come on and tackle, it's a project. Tackle this project and get Denbigh back to where it used to be, man. Has my full support. Shout out to Coach Tomlin, always doing his thing. You know, in Pittsburgh, has his guys playing really well. Now, I don't know if a lot of people really expected that, but you can just tell by, you know, his leadership and what he's done for the Steelers through his tenure, man, that his guys are always going to come out and play well. So I'm excited to be back in the 757 tomorrow. Obviously, see the Denbigh Patriots take on, you know, one of our longtime rivals, Menchville. So I'm excited. I'm excited all the way around.
Yeah, don't let David Macklin talk junk to you, please. I've talked with David before. He's a former Menchville guy, Penn State, great dude, played in the NFL many years, played with the Cardinals a little bit there too. So always a pleasure, Antoine. Thank you so much and enjoy it. Congrats. It's well-deserved for you getting this recognition at Todd Stadium, and we'll see you over there.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
That's Antoine Bethea, the former NFL Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. He started at Howard also in a 7.57 at Denbigh High in Newport News. Going out there Thursday night, 7 o'clock is the kickoff with the Monarchs and the Patriots halftime presentation for number 41, Antoine Bethea. We'll take a timeout and hear from a couple of our sponsors and come back with more to finish up this latest edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. Stay tuned.